Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have 3 spring Easter projects to share with you, and a new product that I want to show you, and a way to kind of manage your storage of your projects and maybe save some space and not just have projects overflowing into your home, decor overflowing, but to manage all of that. And so let's get started. The first thing I want to show you is this new product that I bought, and I've wanted this for a while because, I'm having a hard time getting it out. It's the Cricut True Control knife. One thing, I love the color of it, and it's got this nice grip. It's got this little tip at the end, or nib at the end, to help release the blade, and it's just got such a comfortable grip and such a great sharp knife. And I tend to have some trouble keeping those knives sharp, but the blade change is so easy, and it really holds that blade in. My old, my old knife like this, the blade falls out and it's really problematic. So I'm really excited to give that a try, and it's going to store right here in with my other Cricut tools in my organizer that I showed, a couple of weeks ago, my updated organizer. So I'm really excited about it. So this first project that we're going to do, I bought this egg shape at the Dollar Tree. And I actually kind of liked the light white, kind of the distressed white color. And so I did some words on my Cricut, and I went ahead and weeded this one because it's big, and I wanted to just get that done. Now, I wanted this nice gray color. I want it to be subtle and just kind of gentle and calm. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and weave these other pieces that are going to go onto this egg project. And I wanted some nice springy looking flowers on there. So we've got those, and then there's just a little middle circle to take out of each of those. There we go. That little, there we go. Okay, so what we're going to do first, I've got several different types of transfer paper that I want to try out. A friend gave me some, I think this is the Sizer transfer paper, transfer tape, and the Oracal. So we're going to try those. But for these little ones here, I'm going to just use a previously used piece of my transfer tape, my favorite kind that I got from Amazon. And I'm just so excited about spring. Today, we are having a terrible windstorm. And oh man, it is blowing outside. We have gusts up to 80 miles an hour. And when we moved here, we knew this was a windy area, but honestly, we had no idea how windy it is. And so that's been quite an adjustment, getting used to that. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to lay my words on here so I have an idea of how that looks. And then that's just going to give me a way to figure out maybe how to position my flowers. And I think I'm actually going to take those apart. Oops. And I think I'll do the big one in the middle and maybe put these smaller ones on the side. I'm not really trying to make it line up, but yeah, I think that'll work. So let's get those down. And then I'm going to go ahead and weed this other part so that I can make sure that I get things lined up correctly before I finish off those words. Now, I hope you can see this. Yeah. Okay. What I want is just subtle spring. I don't know. Lately, I've really wanted some calmer, quieter colors. Things have been a little crazy, and sometimes I just am anxious for calm and quiet. And so I went for some nice pastels, and that's what I'm going for now. Let's see if I can pull this all around. Okay, there we go. You know, I watch people on YouTube so I can learn and get some ideas, and I'm always so impressed with what they create, and I don't know, I guess I would say their kindness in sharing and their kind of gentle spirit. I appreciate this. Things have been a bit rough lately for our family. We tend to have, I don't know, medical issues and things that happen just like you do in your family. And so one of the things that I love about spring is just that kind of looking at a new perspective, looking at things improving. Hopefully, eventually, winter will end. Sometimes it feels like it's never going to end. And I don't know if you feel that way sometimes. And sometimes it seems like the troubles that we have in life, they just keep coming. And sometimes we just want to, say uncle. Remember that maybe when you were a kid and, I remember the bully tackling me and holding me down and saying, say uncle, like I've had enough. And sometimes I feel like that. And so one of the things that can help in that situation is finding things of beauty. And that might be taking a walk outside. It might be creating a craft in your home. It might be taking a treat or flowers or a plant to someone else who is struggling. And maybe find ways to bring beauty into the world for someone else. And sometimes that helps. Now, my family's being really noisy upstairs, so if you hear a lot of other noise, that's it. They might be having a little too much fun up there while I'm filming. So there we go. I'm going to just straighten this M up so it looks a little better. It's looking a little wonky to me. There. So these phrases down here, these are words that I felt like are some of my favorite things about spring. And today my daughter and I were at Cal Ranch. We were looking at gardening possibilities, and they had the new chicks there, and oh man, they're so cute. And where we lived in Washington, we used to keep chickens. And oh, I loved that. We would, when the chicks were little, we would just treat them like pets, and we'd hold them, if we were, I don't know, watching a movie on TV, and we would just get our chicks. And even as the chickens got a little older, I used to get my favorite chicken and just wrap her up in a towel and hold her on my lap and kind of pet her. Like a pet. It was a little crazy, and I know people thought I was nuts. I don't want to get my head in the way too much here, but I'm going to line that up. So I've got my lines straight. There we go. So since this is a bigger cut, I'm folding that paper back and so that I can control it a little better. Okay, let's get some of that cut off. Anyway, we love chickens, and we had one named Handy. that my daughter Anne named, and I don't know where she came up with that name, but it ended up being such a fun name, and we loved Handy. She was kind of, I know it sounds crazy, a little bit of a joker among the chickens, and she would tease the other chickens. It was kind of crazy to watch. I don't know if you've ever seen chickens act like that, but she would just get those chickens running around the rock in one direction, and then just to be funny, or I don't know why, then she would all of a sudden change directions, and all the chickens would crash into each other. It was hilarious to watch. We really loved Handy, and oh boy, Handy got old, and she was a wonderful layer, and then she got old and she quit laying, and we had a friend that just had an orchard, and he took some of our older chickens that wouldn't lay just to live in the orchard. So we were all really sad to see Handy go. Here we go. So some of my favorite things about spring I have listed here. So, let's see. This is Paper Studio transfer tape. And I'm still liking my Amazon transfer tape that comes in the big roll better. It's interesting how you get used to the way one product kind of acts, how it performs, and you just get used to using it that way. And that's kind of how you go. Yeah, this one is not coming off quite like my other one does. But there, did we get it all? I think so. So let me just flip this over and make sure we've got everything. Rain puddles, new flowers, rain puddles, apple blossoms, baby chicks, umbrellas, and green leaves. I'm liking it. So let's get that down. I'm going to hold it up so I can see if it, oh, that's crooked. I know. I think what I'll do is give myself if I line that up kind of on the bottom and give myself kind of a straight edge to look at. Okay, now let me just look at that. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So against this white background, I'm hoping that those gray words will show up just fine against the white background. But like I said, I just wanted to keep it really kind of gentle and pastel, and I don't know, just calm. I just feel like I need things to be calm. Okay, so let's save that. Oh, I'm liking that. And now we will transfer this Welcome Spring. And I want to try this. Oh, let's use this one. I think that's going to be wide enough. This is, I think this one is a sizer, or is it Caesar? Somebody comment below. I don't know the way the company tells it, says that it should be, because I keep hearing it both ways. And so I'm going to use that, and we're going to see what we think of this transfer tape. I like the blue background, makes it really easy to see. Okay. Okay. Actually, I'm going to save that so I can reuse this transfer tape. All right, let's see how that comes off. So this vinyl I'm using, you can see, is from Paper Studio. And Paper Studio really has some beautiful colors. This is I think it's a Michaels brand, because around here I only ever see Paper Studio at Michaels. I don't see it at other stores. So I assume that's a Michaels brand. Okay. So just gonna try to get that lined up. Okay, let me hold that up so I can see. Okay, I think that looks good. Okay, so we're just going to scrape that down, and then let's see how this comes up. Now this transfer tape I can see is pretty high tack. So, yeah, but it came up just fine. Okay, so I'm going to save that bit. I'll flip the whole thing. Okay, so there we go. I tried to do it really pastel and really calm. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and put a little hanger at the top in this pretty green polka dot ribbon, because that is going to hang probably on my hutch. I have a hutch that I got from my aunt when she died, and she has a collection of spoons from around the world that I just love, and it has a real pretty little handle that I like to hang these things on. Okay, so there we go. And there is project number 1. I hope you like that. Okay, now let's move on to our second project. And remember, the third project, stay to the end, because the third project is going to be not just a project, but I'm also going to talk to you about some storage options. And so that's going to be kind of fun to give you some ideas about decor and storing it, because I don't know, I am not someone that wants to have 5 bins for Easter or, you know, for Christmas. I want to have my decorations, but I don't want to be overrun by them. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to manage some of your decor and the storing of it, because part of what we want, besides having our homes be beautiful, we want them to be orderly and peaceful as well. So I'm going to show you some ways to organize a project and not have what I'd like to do. Let me explain this better. What I'd like to do is create decor that is usable for many seasons and many holidays. But I want it to be, specific to each holiday, and not just leave the same decor up, but have a way that I can reuse elements of that decor across other holidays, so that it's not taking up tons of storage space in my home. And so when I get to that one at the end of this video, my third project, you will understand what I mean by that. Storing it simply, being able to use it across several different holidays. I'm going to reuse that piece of transfer tape. And you see that part of it kind of hangs over, but you'll see it's going to transfer just fine. I've still got some. There we go. And you may notice that the format for this video, I'm trying out sort of more of a just work along with me format instead of doing a lot of editing. I'm trying this out, and I'd like you to share what you think of this sort of chatty, just work along with me and let's see what we can create together kind of format. And we'll see how that goes. I am experimenting, partly because if you've watched my channel at all, you know my purpose in doing a YouTube channel is eventually to help benefit my daughter Anne. And Anne has Down syndrome, and I'm really trying to think about the future for her and for me, and what we may be able to do or not do in the future. And so I thought, if we created something like this that at some point could maybe even bring in some income, that's kind of where we've been thinking about this. I'm going to situate this egg. Oh, I got this at Dollar Tree, and I gave it a very light yellow coat of, what's that stuff called? Of chalk paint. And I just really like that. And so then I wanted to create a nice border. And so if I lay the egg straight on to me, I have a little bit of an easier time seeing where to lay things out. And I'm looking up here and kind of comparing how far from the edge it is, and just trying to get that kind of lined up. And then before I take that off, let's go ahead and weed this one and make sure we've got all of our parts. I should remember to scrape this down every time before I weed. And I do like the Paper Studio vinyl. I love the colors. They've got some lovely pastels. Oh, I think I kind of messed up that. I messed that up. Let me see if I can fix that. You can hear all the talking and goofing off going on upstairs. I've watched some people do lives on YouTube, and that is kind of why I'm experimenting with this kind of a video where I just do these projects and we just work through them, and I don't do a lot of editing because I've wanted to experiment a little and see if maybe I could do a live type video. And I felt like this would be my first sort of introduction to that kind of a format where I just have several things that I work on and have you watch along as I work. Having a hard time getting the center of that E out of there. There we go. Okay, so let's see how that's going to lay in there. I think that's going to be just right. Okay, let's see. I've got a piece of an earlier, let's see. Let me go ahead and I think we can go ahead and put these down and take off that transfer tape so that we can see what we're working with just a little better. Oh, I love that. Yeah, that transfer tape is nice, but I can see it is pretty well used up. Okay, and now let's use a piece of used transfer tape here. There. Okay. So we've had this big wind today with huge wind gusts, and There is no maintaining a hairdo at all when you live in an area that has wind like this. So I'm just going to try to get that centered. Okay, take a look. Oh, oops. Kind of messed that up. All right, one thing my friend Renalou, an older lady, taught me is done is better than perfect. So even if I have little errors, I want to go ahead and finish and do my best. But this idea with a shape for the season, a simple border and a simple word, oh, that just makes everything so much easier, and I love that. And I'm going to put that on an easel, a little easel that I have, and that is an idea for using decor across other holidays, is if you have a simple little easel, and then you can just sit little things like that down in an easel. And I'll show you, let me grab my easel and I'll just show you exactly how that will be. So the easel sits there, and then that just sits on your easel, just like that. I'll tip it so you can see it. And so that easel just is so handy and goes from one holiday to the next, and you just keep changing the item that's sitting on the easel. So there's idea number 2. Okay, now for our last one, what I want to do is show you something I made, and you saw me make this in one of my St. Patrick's Day videos, and I did this Shamrock Mandala. And then what I did is I want to use this frame for other holidays, so that multi-holiday use. So I went through, and this was taped down onto the back of that. I put the tape on the back so that I could attach it to this frame. Okay, but I don't want to do that. I want to take this off, which I have now done, and I want to put a different mandala down on this. So I tried getting off all of the tape from what was stuck there. It didn't come off. So what I'm going to do is just take a blue piece of paper, and this is a good background for my next mandala. And then let me make the mandala, and then I'm going to show you how to store your mandalas that you make for each holiday, and I'm going to show you how to put it on that board without gluing it down. So I love bees, and bees are a very spring type thing for me. So that's what I'm doing here. So there's my base. It's a light white, sort of a yellowish white. And then I'm going to come through and work on my mandala. I've flipped everything over, and I'm going to put my tape dots and I've got tape dots, and I've got sticky strips that are going to go on the back. And we're going to, for our third project, we're going to create our mandala. Now, one thing I like about these sticky strips, I have different widths. I don't know if you can see how wide those are, but these are much thinner. And on my Shamrock Mandala, I used strips, sticky strips from the dollar store, a sticky tape, and it worked perfectly, but I happen to have these on hand. And so I'm just going to go through, and what I'm doing is creating some depth between the different layers of the mandala. So that's the goal here, is to create that depth and make it so that we can hold one layer above the next. And these sticky strips are just so fast and so simple, and I love them. Okay, so those, let's see, I think I'll put another couple on here, and then I'll show you how we're assembling those first 2 layers. Now, this particular bee mandala I found in Cricut Design Space. Just so easy. And I specifically was searching for a bee mandala. And so I believe I did type in bee mandala. I might have typed in layered bee. Sometimes if you can't find the shape that you're looking for as a mandala, you can just type in layered and it'll come up. It'll show you what your options are. And I ran into someone I didn't know at a craft store at Michael's last week, and they were asking me, sorry, these are really sticking to my fingers. They were asking me about different ways that I use Cricut and whether Cricut Design Space was worth having. I'm going to put this right here so I can just stick those down. And I told them absolutely that I would have a hard time doing anything with the Cricut without Cricut Design Space. And so I pay $10 a month to have Cricut Design Space, but I feel like I use it a lot more than $10 worth. It's pretty handy. There we go. Sometimes it's hard to see that backing. So if you're using stuff like this, here's just all of a sudden this has made it really easier, is to get an old piece of transfer tape and turn it so the sticky side is up. And then you can just take off that backing and stick it to the transfer tape and get it off your hands, because it becomes pretty staticky. There we go. And there it just sticks down. All right, now when we stack these, we want to make sure that we line them up just right. So my head might get in the way of the camera. So just give me a second here to line that up. And then you're going to press it down. And then what I love is that there's that gap between those 2 levels. So here comes my next level. And I'm laying it face down. And I printed these, I cut these on textured paper. So one side has a little bit of a texture and the other side is flat. So now and always make sure you are putting your transfer tape. I might pull that up as I go because sometimes it's hard to get it to come. Yeah, no, maybe not. Always make sure you're laying your sticky dots on whatever is the new layer, because it gets the gaps get thinner and thinner, and it gets harder and harder to find where to put those because you have less paper to use. So I'm just going to do that, and I think I will come in. Thinking I'm going to try some of the dots, and let's see how those fit. I don't have very many of these left because some of these spaces probably will work a little better with dots. Okay. There, and as long as I can just hold it above the previous layer, I'm going to be fine. All right, now let's get those backers off. Let me see if maybe it'll help if I use my, oh, well, look at that. If I use my weeding tool, it's a lot easier to get those off. Well, there's a little trick. Look how much easier those come off, because you can just get your weeding tool right in there, and the weeding tool has an easier time finding the under section than my fingers do. Really easy. So creating these mandalas is, I don't know, how do you say it? Is it mandala or is it mandala? I wonder if it depends on where you're from. The first time I saw one of these being made on YouTube was a YouTuber that I just discovered, just a short time ago. She's amazing. And her channel is called Bethadilly. And her color schemes are so, and the things she does are so compatible with mine, with my style. And so I have really enjoyed watching her. And so she made just a couple of weeks ago an astronaut mandala that is so cute. So you might want to check her out. She really has some beautiful things. So here's our next layer, and see how thin these are getting. So harder and harder to find space to put our tape down. So I'm gonna see if I can fit it into some of these little areas. There. And put those there. Yeah, so you've got less space to work with, and so that's why you always put the sticky on the thinner and thinner, the newer slice. So there we go. And I'm hoping that that will be enough. I think I might need a little something just on the ends of those wings to keep them separated from that other layer. Let's see if I can get that to fit. Boy, that's getting really narrow. We keep bees, and so when I was teaching school, I was always Mrs. B, and so the kids would always bring me bee-themed things, and I really did love that, and I miss teaching school terribly. That's been probably one of the hardest parts of adjustment since we moved, is I miss very much the class, the teaching, the things that I learn as a teacher. That's really one of my favorite things. Boy, I really do have to recommend using your weeding tool to get the backs of those sticky strips off. It just makes it so much easier. Are you noticing how much faster this goes? I'd like it if you made comments down below. Maybe let me know which of our 3 projects or storage ideas is your favorite. Okay, here we go. Probably going to get my head in the way again. Oh, I just love the colors on this. Are you seeing how this is coming together? Here is my last layer. So you see how quickly a mandala comes together. I spent quite a bit of time looking in Cricut Design Space to find this particular one. And then when I saw it, I just fell in love with it, with the colors, the shape, just the whole style of it. I think is so pretty. And for me, bees mean spring. And that may not be the case for you, but for me, bees are a very springtime thing. So I told you we keep bees, and we live in a place where winters are pretty harsh. And my last year's bee colony did not make it through the winter. It just broke my heart to go out when we had a warm day and just see that the colony had not survived. And so we're seeing if we can get some new bees in for this year. We are going to go ahead and harvest the honey that I left them for the winter. And since I have a flow hive, it's a pretty easy harvest. And so I'll show you that in an upcoming video. But I was so sad to see that they hadn't made it through the winter. We have terrible wind and temperatures that are down below freezing for too many days in a row. And I think what happened is my colony was not big enough to generate enough heat to survive the winter. So I was very sad about that. And so I'm seeing if I can get a new colony shipped up from warmer climates this year. I mean, our weather, we're into April now. It's April 4th today. And, you know, we're having this big winter storm. So we're not out of winter by any means yet. But I can be hopeful, right? Okay. All right, let's put on our last layer. Okay, here we go. Getting my head in the way again. There we go. Oh, I love it so much. So can you see the different layers? And I love it because as you bring it together, it becomes more and more solid. And at first it feels a little fragile. Each layer feels a little bit fragile. But as you bring it together, it just gets more solid. I love that. Okay, now let's clean these things up. And then I'm going to show you what we're going to do about storing these and how I'm going to put it on my board. So I've got a lot of things to clean up real quickly. Okay, so here's, I've put in the blue paper then in here. And I love yellow and blue together, and it looks a little bit like sky. So this is how this is going to go in there. And I made sure that, I mean, I know the measurement on this frame is 10.5 square. And so I always create my mandala to be accommodated in that space. But what I want to do now is hold this in that space. So I am going to use magnetic tape. So instead of sticking it down, I am going to use the magnetic tape to hold it in place. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my magnetic tape, one on the back of my mandala, and I'm going to try to get the curve out of that. And I don't know, it might have been wiser to put that on before I added the other layers. But I'm going to just try to reach through and get that on there securely. Good. And then I think I'm going to put this right down the middle. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to match up the magnet sides like this so that the magnets are sticking. Oops, and I think we've got to turn it this way because with magnetic tape, it's got poles running down the sides. So you've got to make it so that you've got poles that will stick together, non-same poles. You've got to do opposing poles. Does that make sense? Okay, and then let's see if I can get it to stick. Because for this to work, it's got to stick down. I don't want to. There we go. Okay. Now I can hold it up and it won't fall. And it just, the magnets hold it together. So then when we get into summer and I want a different mandala on there, let me see, I'm going to need to use this to help me just rise it up, lift it up. I can just pull that up. That tape stays there. And if I want to change the color of the paper, I can. But then I can just each time bring in my new mandala, get it on there. Did you see how it just stuck back down? I love that. So I can use this one frame for many, many, many different holidays. And that's my plan through the year. I have another one, an ocean one that I'm planning for summer. There's a beautiful one that's a cornucopia. Of course, I'm going to do Halloween. But I can just trade these out and shift them out using that magnetic tape. And if I want to, I can even change that paper. So I just am loving that idea. Now let me show you how to store these, because you don't want to go to all the work and love them, and you love how they look, and then they get ruined, because these are paper. And yes, once they're stuck together, they're pretty sturdy, but they are paper. So what I am going to do with these, I'm going to go ahead and use some tissue paper, and I want to be able to tell them apart. So I'm going to just know that the green tissue paper is for St. Patrick's Day. And I just want to flip that over. And this tissue paper, its job is just to protect. So the first layer I did kind of rough and bumpy so that it has a lot of protection in there, and we'll keep it from, I'm just feeling to make sure I don't bend any part of it. Okay, so I'm just going to tape that into some nice tissue paper to protect it, like that. Okay, now I found this box at the Dollar Tree, and they have a bunch of these. I love them, and in fact, I use these to store my yearly taxes, because we have to keep track of some medical things year by year. But these boxes are wonderful, and so I'm just going to put this together. I'm going to try to show this on camera, how we do this. So this top, this is the bottom, and so I'm going to fold those in, and that in, and then that goes in and just snaps down through there, like that. So you've got the bottom, and then the top, I love it because the lid is built right in, and you can hang a file on these, so super handy. And then the lid is, these fold in like this, and then you fold over into the slots, and you just have a lid, and it closes right on the box. And you can label it, you can label the ends. It's got some things here to carry it. It's got that thing, a holder there. So then what I'm going to do is just take my mandalas as I'm done with them and just put them in the box. And so when I take off the bee and do my new mandala, I'll show you that. So I'm going to just use this, and I'm going to just write down on here that these are my mandalas. And then I don't have to have a different frame for every holiday. You know, this is it. I buy the frame once, and I just keep reusing it and just creating the new mandalas. And I'm trying to show you that stays in. Okay, so that is my idea for minimizing your storage, creating decoration for multiple seasons, using it over and over, storing your mandalas, changing them out. And the other idea for using decor over multiple seasons is just a simple little easel, and then you can just keep changing out your decor. So we're saving space. We're getting organized, we're making beautiful things, but not letting our home be cluttered with all these beautiful things that we make. I hope you liked this, this video. Please comment below which of the projects was your favorite, and be sure to subscribe. There's more coming. Let me know what you think of this sort of easier, sort of just talk it through format where I'm not doing a lot of editing. I'm just creating the projects and posting. Will you please give me some comments about what you think about that? I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're enjoying my channel and what it is I'm trying to do here. Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your subscribing. that makes all the difference. And so enjoy these, enjoy spring, and we'll see you next time.